Chris Camella with Nightcast Media.
Hey, Brittney, how are you?
I'm a little upset, but hey, it is what it is.
Definitely understand that. So obviously, I know you pride yourself on defense. How do you try to stay positive, considering you guys were playing really good defense leading into this game, and just see this as a bump in the road and just try to compartmentalize it and push forward? How do you have that mindset as a defensive leader on this team?
I mean, you got to think there's so many things going on in the world. The most I can do is like control my attitude, control my effort, control my energy. Like, it sounds cliche, but it's so true. So especially with this game, for me to be upset tomorrow, the next day or the next day about it, it's not going to do nothing. We can't go back. We have 40 minutes to try and win. And now we got 2 more chances whenever that comes up that we play Washington. But we also have a game on Saturday and some more games after that. So we can't get hung up on this. We just got to watch it, learn from it, and build from it.
Thanks, Chris. We'll go to John W. Davis with Winsider.
How would you grade the level that you competed tonight?
I always compete at 110. If I did differently, I hope somebody tell me, but I think I gave 110. Whatever.
Sorry about that, John. Go ahead.
No problem. I was saying I agree with that. And like you were saying, you have to move on to the next game. How quickly can you do that?
What, right now? I don't know. I mean, for me personally, I give myself at least the rest of the night to talk about it or, vent about it or watch the game. I always watch the game back the day after. Like, I go on the app and I watch the game. I stay up till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes, and I just watch the game. And once I get it out my system, I don't go back to it. So I'd say 12 hours. I give myself like 12 hours to sulk about it, and then I learn from it and keep it pushing, because I got a job to do them next couple games. Every game, honestly, but
Brady Clapp for SB Nation.
Brittney, just to add to that a little bit, how nice is it to have a game on Saturday that you can bounce back to instead of having to wait a week like you did early on in the season?
Man, you took the words right out of my mouth. I love it, because it almost forces you to have a short-term memory, You can't really think about what you didn't do against Washington. You got to think about what we got to do against Minnie. So I like it. Yeah, because in the beginning of the season, it was kind of hard taking that loss and then having to wait a whole another week. So, yeah, it's fun to be able to get that back and get that winning spirit, back into the building.
Last question for Slim. David Yapkowitz with The Next.
Hey, Brittney. Speaking about the defense a little bit, since you guys had been playing really good defense, up to this point, do you see tonight as being kind of like just a little slip up there a bit, or, were there things out there that you saw that perhaps, you guys can tighten up on or improve on, heading into the next game?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. There's always things that, we can learn from. And for sure, one of those things was kind of getting out of our shell, kind of getting out of our defense. We kind of spaced out a little too much, or we overhelped, which is like a bittersweet thing, because at least we're wanting to help each other, but we just got to keep it tight like we've been doing in other games where everybody's moving on a string. So once we get back to that, we're good to go. Everybody knows now, like, okay, LA is a very, very strong defensive team. So we got to make sure we get those kinks out so they don't expose some things.
Thanks, Brittney.
That's a big screen.
Nice setup.
Hey, Arella.
Hey.
Questions for Arella Guirantes. We'll start with John W. Davis with Winsider.
Arella, how would you grade your own performance tonight?
I would say C+.
Why is that?
Because looking overall offensively, I felt like I was aggressive. But to me, that's not impressive to me. It's just, that's what I'm here to do. And I think I came off too soft the first couple games, and just embodying the body of work that I put in. I feel like I was just coming into my own. It was only bound for that to happen and for it to continue to increase. So that's not impressive to me. I'm looking at a whole game scale where there's just certain plays where that can be, to me, in my opinion, game changers, whether it's offensively or defensively, that really could have maybe stopped momentum, changed the game. So that's why I give myself a C+.
Thank you. Well, I'm looking forward to a game where you give yourself an A. Thank you.
Chris Camello, Nightcast Media.
Hey, Arella, obviously a tough loss tonight, but how do you guys just try to see this as just a bump in the road? Because you guys had been playing really well on both ends the last few games. I think you guys had won 4 out of 5. How do you see this as just a bump in the road and just kind of keep pushing forward?
Well, you just have to credit to the other team too, because they're a very disciplined team. And going into this game, we knew that they're a great team. I think it's just another stepping stone in the right direction for all of us. And it's basketball. Like, you got to have quick memory with certain things like this. Like, if you dwell too much on one play or one loss, that can mess up the rest of the season. So you have to have quick memory.
David Yapkowitz with the Next.
Hey, Arella. Despite the loss, I mean, it just kind of looked like you kind of were a little bit more comfortable out there, in terms of, being assertive, looking to get your own shot. Is that something that, it's just you kind of getting more adjusted, to the pro game, or was it just something that, you just kind of saw the seams there in the defense, you kind of saw the openings there to kind of hunt for your shot a little bit?
Yeah. I think I realized the last 4 years of, my basketball career in college, I've always had to counter. Always, every time I've gotten the ball. So I was, there's plenty of times where I'm like, oh shoot, I'm actually open. Like, so I think just being accustomed to, like, hey, you have the first one. And I had to engrave that, like, in my mind and mentally, like, these past couple weeks, just engrave it in my mind to take the first, counter second. And I think it actually showed today and transferred from my brain to the court today.
Chris, did you have a follow-up?
No, I didn't actually. Thanks, Arella.
All right. Thank you, Arella.
Thank you.
Hey, Coach.
Annette.
Questions for head coach GM Derek Fisher. We'll start with Brady Klopp for SB Nation.
Derek, what do you think was kind of the main factor in your defense not being able to force the amount of turnovers that you've been forcing in the last few games?
I think this fact that we spent the last 2-3 days talking about how great the defense is. Other than that, I think you just have to give Washington a lot of credit. Really, savvy veteran guards in Natasha Cloud and Leilani Mitchell. And just a team that's, becoming more sure, in who they are and what they want to get accomplished on the floor. And so, you have to really tip your cap, to Washington. I mean, I thought that we, I don't think it was complete, lack of effort. We had some breakdowns for sure. I think that personnel wise, Tina Charles's abilities, Atkins' abilities, Hines Allen, et cetera, Cloud's ability to get downhill. Like I think they just caused us more stress defensively, to be honest. And so, we really weren't able to be as disruptive and get out and get some additional field goal attempts off of our turnovers, which is really what we need in order to be able to score consistently.
Amna Subhan, LA Daily News.
Hey, Coach. Obviously, tough loss. To sort of follow up on what you were saying, it seemed like grit and effort were sort of the mainstays of this team, and instead it was Washington who sort of led that. What do you think attributed to that?
I mean, I think our group is battling. We spent the week on the road. Flew back to LA for a couple games and then back out and pushing through 7-8 player rotation, and obviously Carly and Christine coming in to just try to help us fight through the adversity. But I think Washington is that's who they have been. Mike Tebow has created that culture and environment here, and it's something that we've displayed and been able to put out almost every night this season, even sometimes when we've come up short. But you can see tonight we only could do it in short stretches, and we couldn't sustain the grit and effort, in particular on the defensive end, that it would take to get some stops against this team. And again, I think after a slow start, and navigating through injuries and a bit of new personalities on their roster, I just think Washington's playing better basketball than what their record shows, and they were better than us tonight.
David Yapkowitz with the Next.
Hey, Coach. A little while ago, Arella was talking about how she's really she's adjusting to being open in the WNBA. How in college, with defenses swarming her, that she often had to go to one of her counter moves instead of being able to go with her first move. She looked really comfortable out there, a little more offensively. Just what did you see from her out there tonight, and then just overall, as she continues to adjust to the pro game?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a big adjustment for Arella in a very unfortunate situation with the delay to the beginning of training camp and after the draft in terms of clearing health and safety protocols, and no training camp basically, and and coming in over 3 or 4 days and showing enough for us to believe that she has a bright future and that she can help our team. But that for sure makes the transition into the season just more challenging and more difficult for a young player. So there's a lot flying at her. We're throwing a lot at her. The opponents are throwing a lot at her. And so, there's always going to be that adjustment, early in your career. And especially for a player that, offensively dominated the game the way that she did in school, also adjusting to the fact that at the pro level, it's really ultimately about the impact on the game that you have, as much or more than what you show statistically. There are a lot of professional players, women and men, that, have great looking statistics and really don't have any impact on winning. And so I think for Arella, learning what impact actually means, and that even as you're finding your comfort level with your individual game, some of the things that she's doing defensively, the deflections, the steals, being in the right places on that end. She has the size to be a good rebounding guard, and she has the size and the ability to make plays for other people. So those are all things that, she can improve on as she goes forward. And, we're asking her to try to do all of that as quickly as possible. But, the reality is, whether it's for her, for Ted Cooper, a lot of our younger players, they're just going to have to learn it as they go. And, and we'll have to just figure it out.
Time for two more tonight with Coach Chris Camello, Nightcast Media.
Hey, Coach. Obviously a tough loss tonight, but how do you just see this as a speed bump and just try to have a more positive disposition even after a double-digit loss in order to keep the team, trucking forward? Because you guys had been playing well, 4 out of 5. So how do you just kind of keep that positive disposition? Be like, hey, there's going to be nights like this over the course of a 32-game season.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to not only message that, but be an example of that. There are going to be nights in this league, whether you play well or not, you're going to come up short, especially on the road. So you can't hang your head. You have to really be prepared to move on to the next one. Even if you win, you can't celebrate. You have to be prepared to get ready to go out and give yourself a chance to win the next ball game. So it's the same thing here. And this is part of growing, as a group. Like things can go well for a little bit. You can win a few games, but you're always going to be reminded of how far you have to go at some point. Whether you run 9 or 10 off or 1 or 2, at some point you're going to be humbled, right? You're going to get knocked down, and the best ones find a way to continue to chip away at it, get up, continue to fight the fight, and that's what we have to do. There's no shame in losing against good teams on the road in this league. It's always been that way. It's why it's a hard league to get separation in. And so, we just have to figure out a way to, take a look at some things tonight that we can do better and prepare ourselves to, have a chance to win, hopefully in Minnesota on Saturday night.
Last question, John W. Davis with Winsider.
Real quick, I know you can be tough on yourself. I was just wondering, what grade would you give yourself for your performance in this game tonight, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't play, so I don't think my performance necessarily is like.
Well, maybe not your performance
thing, but I'm not sure like how to quantify it, I guess. Every night I feel like I personally can do things better to help our team. Whether it's calling timeouts at different times or, making a play call or an adjustment defensively that could have maybe changed the complexion of the game. So that's an every night thing. The first thing I do is, those are the questions I'm asking. I very rarely come here or walk in the locker room and start pointing fingers towards the players, So yeah, I'm always going to look at, any game we play and see where I could do some things better. And, when I'm watching the video back, I'm watching, where we can be better to help our players. And that's what my job is. So, yeah, I try not to get too caught up in it because I don't take the credit when we win and, but I hold myself accountable for sure when we come up short. Something that I can be doing better, and guarantee you I'll continue to work to figure it out.
Thank you, Coach.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.